in going a bit of history, 2007, 16, 17, 18, when we would get invited to come and meet CXOs who are visiting, we would go to these campuses, and some of these campuses that are just emerging in Bangalore, and you would see these absolutely state-of-art facilities coming up, state-of-art leisure facilities, food facilities, colorful offices. And then these CXOs who we would meet would say, they're so enthused by looking at the youngsters working in their offices. They said the Indian talent is really agile, eager to learn, the most enthusiastic we have in the world. And we had this Mercedes-Benz R&D, Mercedes-Benz's executive board member coming here once and telling us, my talent in Bangalore is as good as the ones we have in Silicon Valley. Deutsche Bank's CIO or CTO, I think, said around that time that we are moving our outsourcing to in-house work was 70 to 30. We are shifting that to 30-70, bringing 70% of the IT work in-house. When we started hearing those kinds of stories, we realized something big was emerging. And we convinced our Delhi and Bombay bosses that, look, we need to do a big story on, at that time, I think it was probably called GICs. I'm not sure, GCCs had just emerged. And we did a 2-pager in the Times of India in Bangalore on GCCs in 2018. And the rest, other editions made it into a 1-pager, condensed everything into 1 page. Since then, of course, GCCs has been, COVID, of course, even more accelerated the whole process. And in the last 1 year, we did some stories which really stood out. Of course, stories from people like KSV and Lalita Ahuja and Parina Trajan gave us a lot of good data. Some 5,000 global leaders sitting out of India. And that was triggered by the appointment of Sarv Sarvanan as Chief Customer Officer of Comvault, sitting out of India. And then we recently had a story about whether the next Satya Nadella will be sitting out of India in the coming days. And of course, now today everybody is talking GCCs. It's become literally the flagship of the technology industry in India. And we want to see, and that's what we're going to discuss today, how this ecosystem is going to develop over the next 10 years. But first, there are always a few who are doubtful, and that's what I want to first clarify with Aveek and Sundeep. There are IT companies which say that, IT services companies that say that these are cycles. At some point when some of these technologies get commoditized, GCCs will sell off to the IT services like it happened in the 2007-8 period, etc. But what do you think, Aveek, Sundeep? GCCs are here to stay. Do you think they'll want to sell off? Are they now too big to be sold off to any IT services companies?
So, it depends. If they're going to still produce the value, they will stay. If they stop producing the value and think that, they're going to become big and they're going to have 100,000 people in them, then that's a different issue. They need to make sure that their eyes are on the ball, that they have some relevance to their parent organization. I'm not sure if you've seen, there's a Forbes article that came out recently that wasn't very kind to GCCs in India.
Oh, what did they say?
They are talking about exits.
Talking about?
Exits.
Exits.
Yes. So, again, it's a one-off article. Don't have to take it with, everything. But the point is, unless you can justify the value the same way we justified the value back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, when there was a big kind of a surge, as you said, of third parties and even the Forresters, Gartners, McKinsey's all talking about the fact that it's only going to be large third-party organizations, no GCC, at that time captives, have any role to play. Something like that, we survived that. We kind of survived that and make this a big thing. But we need to ensure that we reinvent ourselves every day and make sure that we are in even a better place tomorrow than we are today.
Yeah, just I think I echo what you just said, Aveek. And to me, one of the important things why how we stay relevant is to understand how the organization makes money. Okay? We are commercial organizations, all of us. Second, how can you be of value to the... So it's like if I look at a business and say, this business in Argentina is making money, great. This business in China is not making money, I need to do something about it or exit the market. Similarly, GCCs also need to have value. If there is no value, if it is only the cost arbitrage we were looking for, how long will it last? Right? And the same arbitrage can be offered by someone else, a service provider or another company. So to me, I think it's the entire game is value, how relevant you are, and the relevance only comes from value.
Can you explain value? Some of the things that probably you also have done in Shell?
So it's okay. So let me, one of the things you would have seen in this organization, and all of us, when we meet, the first question as a leader you're asked is how big you are, how big is your setup? To me, that's a question loaded with inefficiencies. If I say I have 10,000 people, the next guy can think I'm inefficient, that's why I need so many people to do my work. Okay? What we need is to start talking dollar value. What matters to the company is what the money you take back to the bank, which is the bottom line. So how relevant you are to the bottom line of the company is important. What innovations you want to do, if they are going to result in a dollar value. So I'll give you an example. Today we've done a lot, I see a lot of companies doing this kind of work, is industry leading practices. It's no longer the shared services business. It's no longer the business of accounts payable and accounts receivable. If those are the kind of processes, automate them. I think what you need today is industry leading practices. We are looking at setting up a trading desk. If trading used to happen only out of 3 locations in the world, in commodity trading, the big commodity trading, Houston, London, Singapore. But if it's not customer facing, can I do it out of India? Yes, why not? So to me, I think industry leading practices which are never thought of to be done out of another country altogether, is something which has helped us, and I'm sure has helped a lot of GCC colleagues I've seen in the industry.
Okay. We as journalists sometimes get fascinated by some of these numbers, large numbers. That's one of the reasons why I think GCCs was initially ignored. I think that there is no financial flow that you can immediately identify with. There's no big investment number that anybody gives out for a GCC. So financial media tends to kind of ignore people who don't talk about financial details. And then employment is the other thing that we get excited about. Okay, 10,000 people, JP Morgan ka 60,000 log hain. That kind of excites us. But like you said, I think long-term sustainability is probably all about value. Aveek, you want to add to that?
Sure. I think, yes, I think you're absolutely right. And Sundeep, what he spoke about, in my many years ago, I used to work with a bank called Wells Fargo. And when I would get into one of these, say, senior executive kind of conferences and all that, the CFO on stage, and he would say that, and there was a big focus at that time to cut costs. All the time it's a CFO on stage, he wants to cut costs, that's why he's on stage. So he would say that, when I talk to every business leader, my discussion is about next year's budget and how much more they need to run their business. Yet, when I talk to India, they will say it'll cost me 5% less to run next year than what they used this year, right? And the big thing, and he used to always say, look, I never understood it. But after I visited, I understood that there is science behind it. And I don't know why we can't adopt the science across the organization. So, there is something that it's not just Wells Fargo. I think almost all well-run GCCs have found a way to do things faster, cheaper, more efficient, more productive, less on quality issues, things of that nature. So I think that itself is a value that this brings, just by the discipline and the process itself. The other big change which I feel is actually happening, and it's going to accelerate going forward, is the decoupling of the process and the platform. See, when I say the platform, it's the process. When I say it's all the work that happens on the GCC that comes from the parent organization. So whether it's the trading desk or the finance and accounting or the technology or the mortgage processing, that's basically the processes. What the platform is, all the things that are required to get that thing to be operated out of here. So you need a facility, you need the technology to run in there, you need HR to hire people, pay them, you need finance, accounting, all that stuff. I think that there's a decoupling that's happening between the process and the platform. It's been happening for a while. I mean, I've seen this myself, I've used this myself in the past. That's going to accelerate more, and you'll have more players who are very good at each of these things. They may not be the same person. The same person may not be the best guy to do the process and the platform. You might have two different segments emerging for the payments and for the process and the platforms. And those on the platform side, I'm more on the platform side, right? I mean, we've been working on that for last few years, and we've kind of got it down into a science now, where you can run it at a point which is so evolved and so predictable. And all the things about data, analytics, AI running on all those platforms, that delivers an excellent kind of base on which the efficient processes will run. This together will actually deliver the next level of value in this business.
Can you give an example? I mean, something that your platform has kind of helped?
So what we have done is, we are a bunch of people who've been doing this for many years, much longer than we would like to remember, but we have. And what we've seen this is that there's a clear cause and effect of things that happen in this business. If you do this, this shall happen. If you do that, your engagement will increase. If you do this, your talent attraction increases or decreases, whatever it is. So there's these cause and effect things that we have kind of come up with, right? And on the outcome side, we've said there are basically 12 outcomes that any GCCs want, right? Right from cost to low risk, to delivery capability, to a scope of work or the amount of work that you can get done, and there are 12 basically. So, and to get these done, there are about 200 odd causal factors. By tweaking those, and the focus of companies can vary in those 12 outcomes. Some might go after the cost, some might say, no, I want very strong innovation. Or some might say, I want to do a large number of stuff on this platform. Right? So it depends on what they want, and depending upon what they want, those causal factors need to be tuned. It's like a fine-tuned car. Nowadays when you tune a car, you have a microprocessor, you put your laptop into that thing, and then you can tune the car, right? So that's essentially where we are taking it, where you can actually tune the car, you can actually tune the GCC to produce those outcomes. Right? So that's the place it's going to go, and we're putting in all the other things that I spoke about, some more science. We used to do that, and most of us do that by our kind of experience. It's more an art, I would say. We are trying to take that to a science.
Okay. I thought we had 20 minutes. Is it only 1 minute left? Yeah, really? Sundeep, tell me, I mean, you were talking about why leaders in India need to know the business of the company well if they really need to, drive processes out of India, take on more work.
So ask yourself a question, what are you working for? You're working for the bottom line of the organization, right? You are the organization. So the step is to say, if I know how Shell makes money or what part of Shell how do they make money, I can do a better job. I'm no longer so I'm saying what we need to, and I see in the next 5 years, we are not going to be order takers. We are not going to be the doers. To me, it is the next phase is going to be lead from India, not the business. Business is still where the customer is, at least in my case. But processes which I can lead out of India are far important today to the organization. And that's where I help organization generate value. And the moment you have a value of a couple of $1 billion which you are delivering to the organization, you are relevant. Imagine a business, a lubricant business out of a big country which is worth $1 billion. That head of that business is valued in the organization, right? Why is he valued? Because he is delivering value to the organization. Maybe it's the accountant in me talking, but the reality is, I think it finally comes down to what's the value and where do you see this value going up to? Because if you stay on the same value, well, somebody will overtake you someday.
You said pricing of Shell lubricants and all that in the US is done by a team
Yes,
here, right?
yes, we do pricing, we do, so things like, okay, time's up.
That was fast.
Good. No, but I know Target, for example, used to do design. I learned from them. They used to design their merchandise planning and their entire store planning out of this place. We started doing merchandise planning for our consumer retail stores. We have retail stores on every petrol station out of India. I learned it from the other GCCs. I didn't know whether we could do it from here. But then it's an opportunity. So it's a good time for us to learn from each other and start driving value.
By 2035, will a Satya Nadella be sitting out of India?
Today we pay for the entire fuel bill import of this country. GCCs together, okay? GCCs together are 100 billion. IT industry is about 200 billion. And that's what we use. That foreign exchange is what we use to import fuel into this country. Crude. India imports crude, right? I think by 2035, we would be paying for a lot more.
Aveek? 35?
I think so. I think there are a lot of exciting things happening around the country, not just GCCs, but the whole ecosystem. I think you should take the entire ecosystem in place, not just the GCC. They have to go beyond and kind of integrate themselves to whatever is happening around the country. There's great things happening around the country in products and all that stuff. You will see a major revolution coming out of India when it gets a bit of more of a critical mass.
Okay, major revolution coming out of India as we get a critical mass. Thank you all, both of you so much.
Thank you very much.
Value is going to be what is going to be driving GCCs in the future. And by 2035, I'm sure we'll be in a much better place, paying for a lot more than oil. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.